It's Shit Talk Reviews. Thanks. Glad you're here. What's going on, fellas?
Very good, John. Very good.
Big Bruce, man. Big Bruce is what's going on.
Yeah, man.
Big Bruce. Well, let's get right into it then. Let's dispense with the pleasantries.
Yes,
it's
sir.
your pick this week. What do we got, Dave?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about Bruce Dickinson, the Mandrake Project. So I don't know. We'll get into it, but I just wanted to say something real quick before we start. You know, Bruce Dickinson is one of my favorite singers of all time. I think he's one of the greatest rock singers of all time, if not the best. That's my opinion. But other than that, this guy has been a pilot to his own band, Air Force One. You know, he's done books, documentaries.
Ed Force One. Not Air Force One.
Sorry, Ed Force One. Television shows, movies, books. He's got a beer and a brewery. He's just, you know, again, a pilot. The guy does so much, you know, outside of rock and roll music, and he's been doing this for such a long time. And I really admire this guy for that. If anybody's living life to the fullest, man, fucking Bruce Dickinson is doing it.
True.
You know? So I thought I would just say that before we get going. The guy's just a beast, you know, and he always will be in my eyes.
Yeah, I've been fascinated with him and his, I don't know, I guess entrepreneurial spirit for a long time too. I love that he not only became a pilot and flies his own band around, actually has his commercial rating as he would need to fly his own band, but went and worked with, oh God, what is it? I've got it somewhere up here. Astraeus Airlines.
Yes, Astraeus
was
Airlines.
A commercial pilot for them,
yeah.
and then built an aircraft maintenance and a pilot training school after that. I mean, the guy's nonstop, and he is a monster singer.
Yeah. I'll get to the band. If I miss somebody, guys, please, I apologize. I have Bruce obviously on vocals, Roy Z on guitar, O'Callahan on bass, Moreno on drums, and Mysteria on keyboards. And I think live they're taking out a gentleman named Phil Naslund and guitarist Chris DeLurk. If I pronounced that wrong, I apologize. So it looks some of these guys have probably gone out with him. In fact, some of them have come out with him before, I believe. So
yeah, I think on the album Roy Z played both guitar and bass, though. I would assume the other gentleman is a touring player, because I think Roy handled a lot of that stuff on this album and the others that he's done with Bruce, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
the most quiet guy in the room. Can we just pause for a second and acknowledge that Derek hasn't said word one?
I think he's just waiting for me to shut up. So
you guys have a lot to say, and you know, patience is a virtue. So keep going.
Yeah, this is Bruce's fifth studio album, and you know, listen, we'll get into it, but I just give you my, you know, what I thought right off the bat. I think I've listened to his stuff previously. I've enjoyed it. I think you get a little bit of everything in here. I think it was experimental. You get the tones of metal to some Maiden to some really soft music. I think it had a beginning and an ending. I'm just not sure in my mind how I would put it, but I kind of had to feel Bruce was putting something together, and I'm not sure if I'm missing something there, but well, you know, and again, his lyrics are just amazing. Yeah, and anything this guy does is amazing. So, you know, it just had a little bit of everything on this album. So
you're a little bit of a fanboy, aren't you?
Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah. Now, do you search, like, what's your search history look like? Do you kind of stalk Mr. Dickinson? You know, do you want to see him in a Speedo? Yeah. No?
Hey, listen,
Maybe?
I love, you know what it is? It's like I said in the beginning of the podcast, it's everything he does outside of the music that just impresses me so much. He's, you know, your perception of a rock guy is, oh, he's a dumbass. All he does is drugs and bang chicks. And that's not the case. And for this guy, it's totally opposite, you know, and if he's doing that, he's doing a great job, because he's doing a lot of other stuff too. So I admire him for that. I'm a huge fan. So,
you know, there's a big lottery right now. We better hope, Bruce better hope that you don't win, because you're going to be in his closets. You are going to be on the roof with a scope, I don't.
Hi,
I'm
Mr.
not
Dickinson.
saying-
It's me, Dave.
I love you.
Yeah.
I love you,
Yeah.
Mr. Dickinson. I love.
Listen, I know
you.
all his previous stuff. I love it. So,
Well,
Obviously.
I
Yeah.
think all three of us big Maiden fans. I mean, it's Maiden, even their, and I say this cautiously because they didn't have anything that was really objectively terrible, but even their, we'll say, least popular stuff is still good stuff, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
John, just back to your previous point, Bruce Dickinson knew that he was the voice for Iron Maiden because he had seen them live before, and he knew if he was just up there with them that they would be the band they are. So he knew it. I mean, he was born to fucking front Iron Maiden. I'm sorry, man. He just was. There's nobody else that could front Maiden other than Bruce Dickinson. It's just not possible.
So on that front, here's my take, because I've been silent and now I won't be anymore. I think Bruce Dickinson needs Iron Maiden because I found this album to be an absolute mess, and it was all over the map. It had lacked very little direction. I thought Afterglow of Ragnarok was probably a cast-off Iron Maiden song from the past that didn't make the cut. Great solo in it, but why was the solo way in the back? Production-wise, weird choice. Interestingly enough, Many Doors to Hell, structurally, it was Tobias Forge of Ghost. And I'm starting to believe that Mr. Forge might be writing some songs. I don't think that there was any accreditation given to him, but my God, did that song scream Ghost. And they toured the world. Iron Maiden took Ghost out before Ghost really blew up about 7 years ago. And so I'm sure there's a relationship there, but Many Doors to Hell, you could take Bruce Dickinson out of that song, put Tobias Forge in, and it is a Ghost song. Which, I liked it. I thought it was a fair track. Rain on Graves was like an SNL parody skit for me, like a parody metal song. It's just so cheesy. The only thing I liked about it was the video was kind of fun. It was like a Van Helsing, Universal Monsters type thing. But the laughing was just so cheesy. Like they should have had Mark Hamill come in and do his Joker laugh. It would have been a little bit more believable, but the
album did have, I'm telling you, it had a flow. It was going somewhere in the beginning to the end, and there was something that was a story or a flow going on there that I'm missing, but it did have that kind of feel to it. So it did have its ups and downs.
Resurrection Man, it sounds like the Southern rock, Bon Jovi, Blaze of Glory type thing. And then all of a sudden he starts mentioning fucking wizards in the middle of it. I'm like, what is going on? Right. I struggled with this. I really did. And, I didn't love it. I choked through it this week. I was cursing you, Dave. I was cursing Bruce because
it's Bruce Dickinson, man. What the fuck?
It's just kind of, and I was sitting last night watching Al Jorgensen and Ministry tear through a killer set. And I'm going, it's just, Bruce just isn't good. Good is good and not great is not great. And this was not great for me. It really missed the mark.
Yeah, that's the thing. And we've said it 100 times. I mean, that's the great thing about music. You can listen to it objectively, and this to me is a very listenable album from a production standpoint, and tonally it's a fine record. But I was left a little underwhelmed myself with it for a number of reasons, and I think a lot of those reasons for me were more technical reasons than not. I thought there were some interesting choices on the record, like Rain on the Graves to me. And again, I try not to attribute a certain feel to like, oh, this sounds like Typo Negative or that sounds like Pantera. However, when that song first started playing, I was like, this is like a cross between like tinges of Maiden, the band Stillwater from the movie Almost Famous,
right.
and a little bit of Alice in Chains sprinkled on top.
Right.
And the next one, Resurrection Man, was like a spaghetti Western theme, there were some in that one, Resurrection Men. Sorry. There were some things that and I picked this up a couple times throughout the album in various songs, where it felt like some of the performances could have been a little tighter. Occasionally I hear Bruce's vocals slide around the beat a little bit, and sometimes that's a very intentional choice, which is fine. But listening to this, I didn't hear that and say like, oh, that was a cool choice to make, to, slide in front of or behind the beat a little bit. To me, I heard some of these timing things throughout the album as like, they really should have done another take and gotten that right on better than they did. And that to me was a little disappointing. Not to discredit anybody, because again, nobody's listening to my album, so I really want to put that out there. It's not like I don't respect any of these guys.
Of course.
Roy Z is a great player, and all these guys are, Moreno and Mysteria. If you look at who they've worked with over the years, they've all worked with, pretty big names.
Right.
And I'm an idiot sitting in a garage studio. So who the fuck am I to beat anybody up? But that said, like I said, I still would have, I listened to this and I heard on a number of instances throughout, like, why didn't you do another take and tighten that up? It would have hit so much harder if it had been like bang, bang, bang right there. So that was a bit of a disappointment for me.
If I'm hearing,
thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
If I'm hearing both of you right, then you guys really like this album just as much as I do.
It's just what's interesting is like Mistress of Mercy. Like I heard it sounded like Stone Temple Pilots tones. It felt like a Stone Temple Pilots song with Iron Maiden vocal patterns, and it's an interesting choice to mix that. And again, I don't know if it was conscious or not, but that's the way it came across, at least to me. And it was an interesting combination.
It's great bass in that song to open up that song, though. What a great bass line.
Sure. But it just felt weird. And then like Shadow of Gods, like it's like this almost Broadway type experience. And then in the middle of it, the highlight of the whole album is this big riffy onslaught that kicks fucking ass halfway through almost the second to last song on the album. And then they go back to more Broadway weirdness. I'm like, the songwriting for me just was, I guess, look, I'm not saying Bruce Dickinson's a narcissist, but there is a degree of narcissism with a lot of successful musicians, businessmen, you name it, that's out there in the world. And when you're creating art, you want to expand, there's no stone unturned. Let's try to do everything. And sometimes when you just are so far out there, you miss the center, the foundation to a good record. And I think that the songwriting was, it was not focused enough to be able to be what it could have been. Again, Afterglow of the Ragnarok had enough differences from Iron Maiden that I was like, okay, I can get into this. And then once we turned the pages after that, each page was so different and so out there with weird combinations that the songwriting to me was kind of the weakness on the record.
Dave, what were the things about it? Because I get the impression you, as generally speaking, you like the record. Is that a safe statement?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it kind of hurts to hear you guys say that, but I get it. I mean, you guys are entitled to your opinion, and a lot of it, what you're saying is to me, I don't see it because I'm such a huge fan, so
sure.
I mean, you think of Bruce Dickinson, you just think of this powerful voice who fronts Maiden, this big presence on stage, and that's how I look at Dickinson. So maybe I'm just, obviously I was a little biased going into this.
Sure.
But,
well, look, I mean, you guys know me. We can go track by track through this, and sure. I can point out stuff that I liked from every song on the record. So I'm in no way saying that this is, like I said, objectively a garbage record. But for the stuff I like, and that's the problem with reviewing anything, albums, movies, whatever, is the person doing that reviewing and talking about it, they have their own set of standards that they like to be met for something to be a winner or a loser. Yeah. And this, while there is stuff on here, like I said, that I like, there's also a lot of stuff that I don't love. And that
Sure.
bummed me out because it's like, as you said, it's Bruce Dickinson. The guy is like one of the coolest dudes on the planet.
Right.
I want everything that he puts out. I want to just go, holy shit, mind blown. That's incredible. And going back to some of his earlier records, 1994's Balls to Picasso, that is a cool Bruce Dickinson record. Like, holy cow, so much really cool stuff. And now maybe that's because it's got a 90s aesthetic going. Who knows? That is a cool record. What is it? 2005 Accident at Birth has some really good stuff on it too. And I wanted to love this record, and I was bummed out that I didn't, I don't.
Yeah. Go ahead, Derek.
No, I've seen Iron Maiden 5 times, in my life. Right. And I'm looking forward to their next record. I always look forward to their next records. For me, the test is, especially with side projects, is whether or not I would want to spend money to go see these songs be played live. And my answer was just no. I don't have any interest in going to see it. So for me, that's a failure. Whereas Phil Anselmo, a few years ago, he did an N minor, which was a side project that was like this very slow, bluesy, interesting project. It wasn't metal at all, but I would love to go see him play it because it was so gnarly and dark. And different, just completely a 360 from Pantera and down. This to me is close enough to Iron Maiden, but too far away, but not at the point where I'd want to spend money to see it. That's my simple take.
Derek, like Derek, I saw them back in the old Brendan Byrne Arena in New Jersey, back in the day. But I've never seen Dickinson do anything solo. And for me, not just Dickinson, any artist who goes outside the band and does something on a solo project, I don't want to hear anything similar to the band he was just in. I want to hear something completely off the wall and opposite. I get that for Dickinson when I hear his solo albums, especially this one. It had a little bit of everything. I think there was a few songs where it had piano in it, so I'll take it. But that's just my opinion, guys.
Dave, how does this record stack up to Bruce's other solo stuff?
It's a good question because I liked my 2 favorite, Accidents of Birth and The Chemical Wedding. I would probably put Chemical Wedding 1, Birth probably 2, Balls to Picasso, and then this one. That would be my order. Yeah. I would put it up there. This one was different. Like I said in the beginning, he threw a little curveball at everybody, but it's a lot going on this album. It's very, very complex. At least to me, it's very complex. This is a pretty good complex album on his end, I think.
We got to go back to Resurrection Men because I went back and was listening again this afternoon and picked up something that I'd heard the first couple of passes through. I like the tempo changes in it. That's a pretty cool drop. It wanted to go sludgy. Yeah. And wanted to get sludgy at that tempo change. I wish it would have been uglier. That would have upped the sludge factor for me. But we talked about choices being made on this album. There was a choice to remove the bass guitar from that whole section. Now it comes back in a little bit later as the song progresses, but I just didn't get it. I thought, oh, okay, cool. They're going to drop it out. It'll just be guitar and drums for a second here. Then bam, there'll be the big drop, bass, everything comes back in slamming, and it just never happened.
John,
it goes back to an earlier part in the song, and the bass is there. And then it comes back to this new part and the bass disappears again. So again, these are creative choices that everybody makes when they're creating whatever they're creating, and not all of those choices are going to land with everybody. And unfortunately, some of them didn't land with me. You know what I mean?
John, I kid you not. I swear to you, what you just said is in my notes. I said the same thing. It just ripped the song apart. And I even noted it was the 428 mark where it actually went back to just the guitar. It's unbelievable. So
crazy. Yeah. Creative choices, man.
Was it me too? In the middle of Resurrection Man, there's all of a sudden these like orange tones, like almost like a Black Sabbath sound that just came
a
from
little bit
nowhere,
yeah.
like out of the
Yeah.
blue, and I'm like, wait, this started off
Good
like
point.
Blaze of Glory, and now we're becoming Black Sabbath. Like I said, I just was confused by the track I have in my notes. Just a messy track. It's just
Right.
I think they need to spend more time on tightening it up. And going back, I will say that my theory that Tobias Forge helped write The Many Doors of Hell, it's a solid track. It's start to finish. That's well thought out. I probably would rather have heard Ghost sing it. Just fit that sound better. But all in all, I'm with John. This seems very sloppy for the level of who is involved.
I wanted to like it because again, it's Bruce Dickinson, man.
I know.
And again, all these guys, all the players on here, Bruce, Roy Z, Dave Moreno, and Mysteria, and then there were some other artists, woodwind player and some percussion and extra keys and things like that. Gus G played a lead on one track on I don't know what, but great guitar player there. So all really solid players on it. And I just wanted a little more, and I wish it was a little tighter in spots. It would have hit harder. So yeah, that's what I got. Production wise, I think it's pretty solid. It's largely a very thick mix, which I like. Like I said, it's definitely very listenable. And Bruce's voice is, to my ears anyway, still really strong, and he's doing what Bruce does.
He's amazing. His voice is amazing. What are you scoring it, John?
Anybody have any standouts? I gotta be honest. I don't, of course. I don't really have any standouts, or not standouts on the positive side the way we normally do. Sure. Sonata, I thought was it didn't need to be 10 minutes long. I didn't think. So yeah, regrettably, I don't have a whole lot of standouts.
Yeah, mine was Fingers in the Moon, The Wounds, and Mistress of Mercy. I mean, those are my two favorite on the album.
Mm-hmm.
What was up with the weird like Arabic drumming in the middle of Fingers in the Wound? It just came from nowhere.
I loved it. I loved it throughout. I thought it had a good touch. I thought the piano was awesome. Didn't expect it. And
those that like kind of we entered the desert.
I thought it was very I'm sorry.
We entered the desert proper on Eternity Has Failed. That long, long spacey, like I said, desert intro. That one actually felt the most Maiden to me in a really general sense.
Yeah.
Not that it was supposed to, but it did.
But by the way, John, you and I are living up to the moniker of Shit Talk Reviews today. But interestingly enough, when you go back and you look at some of the other reviews from other websites and so on and so forth, I mean, there's 9s. There's 9.5s for
really?
This. And I'm literally looking at this going, wow, like Metal Injection. Metal Injection gave it a 9.
What? Really?
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The Angry Metal Guy wants Bruce to quit. He said he wants Bruce to quit Iron Maiden and just do solo projects.
Okay.
And so I'm like, look, different strokes for different folks, but this stroke I could do without. It's like sandpaper on the crotch. I'm good.
I listened to the album I one or two times through, and I was listening on Spotify and pulled up the artist information just to see if there was anything in there that jumped out at me. And again, at that point, I spun it a couple of times, and in the artist info, the last paragraph, the last sentence is, "The Mandrake Project could well be the crowning achievement of Dickinson's solo career so far." I saw that and I just thought, I need to know what's wrong with me, because I completely do not agree with that statement.
Well, I could tell you as a huge Dickinson fan, that's not the case. There's better albums, Yeah.
Yeah. I feel bad saying that, because I as a rule, I am a Dickinson and certainly a Maiden fan, but maybe my expectation though is just that I need anything Bruce Dickinson related to be Maiden.
Yeah.
Maybe
yes,
that's
you know
what's
what?
stuck in
Probably
me,
true.
you know?
And that's true. By the way, Dave, the album is a dark adult story of power, abuse, and a struggle for identity set against the backdrop of scientific and occult genius.
Oh,
interesting.
well,
See?
there you go.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Derek.
For a second there, I thought we were going to need to get BetterHelp as a sponsor on the show.
I'm just telling you.
Wow.
Again. I'm going through and reading everybody's opinions, and John, we're assholes.
Apparently.
We are supreme fuckheads.
I told you guys, Dickinson.
Well, listen, opinions are like
John,
assholes.
what did you score it? John, what did you score it? I didn't. Did you score it, John?
I did, and it's not a great score at like 6.5, 6 3/4. Yeah.
Okay.
But
Derek?
again, sorry. We always, and I feel like it needs to be mentioned that it's impossible to put a number on a creation without basing that number on, does this album fit into the playlist of music that I love to listen to all the time?
Yeah, that's a fair point.
So you kind of got, you got to have that number, the totally objective number over here, and then the totally subjective number over here, and find the balance between the two. Like I said, I think it's a very listenable album. I like the mix. I like a lot of the tones on the record. So in that regard, you know, the number might go up a little bit.
Right.
Is it super proggy, you know, genty chunkiness? No, it isn't. So for me personally, that's going to bring it down a little bit. But there were too many things that I thought could have been done a little bit better to keep the album really tight that would have, you know, raised that number up. And that's why I'm at the number I'm at.
All right. Derek, go ahead.
6. And I love the song Wasted Years. This was a wasted week of my life.
That's fair.
It is a great song.
Well, listen, guys, I'm just a fan of Dickinson. So of course my scores will be higher than you guys, you know. I loved it. Do I think it is his best? No, there's, like we just said before, there's several that are better, but because I'm such a huge Dickinson fan, I think the guy's such a fucking talent. You know, for me, I scored it about a 7.8, 7.7, 7.8. I couldn't quite give it an 8, but just under an 8, because it is a good album and it's got different aspects to it that to me were a little, you know, a nice little treat opposed to the others. So.
Who do you love more, Wolfie or Bruce? Who would you, if you had to take one of those two to a island to survive forever and replicate humanity? To bring it back, who would it be?
You know what, Derek? I'm not going to drag this out too long, but that is a great question. I was so pumped after Wolfgang's first album because it came out and it was fucking ripping. I'm like, wow, this is a great freshman year album. What's next? The second one was such a bomb to me. The more I listen to it, the less I can listen to it now. It's like I'm just not into it like I am with the first one.
So we need to go back to the tape.
Yeah, if you're looking for, you know, like what he's looking for, you're just not going to get that. It's just not going to happen.
What do you mean it's not going to happen?
It's not a knuckle dragon.
I'm not looking for knuckle dragging. I'm not looking for that. No, I'm not. I am looking for him to be genre. He has the talent. He doesn't be something. No. How do you know? I can talk to him. I can fucking
What are you looking for? It's absurd.
to do something that hasn't been. He can do anything. He sounds like a bunch of other bands. Yeah.
Listen, we could sit here all fucking day and do a podcast on a band and go track by track and pick, right? We could pick a song that's going to sound like any other band all day long. Oh, that sounds like this. That sounds like that. He's not fucking, you know, he's off on this. I'm sorry.
Well, you can agree to disagree.
We can sit and nitpick every fucking song we've done and say it sounds like a different band.
I will tell you, the test for me is if I'm going to listen to it again after reviewing
Everybody
it.
sounds like Def Leppard.
I'm not going to listen to this again. Like it's for me, the talent's there. You can see it. He executes everything perfectly. I mean, he is an incredible musician and a wonderful person. I mean, I love the things that he says in the media. It just, for me, I just had really high expectations for this. Not knuckle dragging. Just let's see that talent fly, man.
Well, like I said, it's only a second album, so we're going to get way more out of this kid, right?
I was
never going anywhere. You know what I mean? Yeah. So if you were to ask me, this today, I probably would take Dickinson. Really, I mean, Wolfie's got to come out with a third album that's going to blow my mind. If he doesn't, he lost me. I'll lose me.
Just blew me away, Dave.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm telling you the truth. It hurts.
He's going to do a duet with Taylor Swift. I'm telling you on the next one. And that'll be the end for you. I'm telling you, he is all about the fame, money.
I know.
He's a money grubber, and he doesn't need it.
I'm telling you, if the third album is a bomb, he's going to lose me. I thought I could carry this out, but I don't know if I can.
I'm really sorry for your loss.
Yeah, you don't know if this is going to go the distance, Dave. I'm sorry too.
true, John. I don't
The
know.
love is
man.
not real anymore for Wolfgang. Poor
I
Wolfgang.
feel like the guy who's about to fight Tyson. What's his name? This guy, Jake Paul.
Jake Paul.
I feel like Jake Paul right now. You know.
You're going to get knocked out if he goes and weaves in what you said on the podcast. He's all I got. Well, that doesn't mean you have to love something that sucks, dude.
John, you might understand this. Terrible. But
I know nothing.
listen, I'm 52, bro. I'm on the back nine. I've been a Van Halen fan since I'm 11 years. I bought Diver Down was my first album in 1982. This is all I got. I had Eddie all these years, and I think about the guy every day that he's not with us. But now I get to go on the back nine and take Wolfie right to my grave. And I just hope Wolfie's around for a long time. You better.
Oh my God. Well, it is. It is what it is, I guess. Love comes and love goes.
Yeah.
And right now,
we're not out of the
Bruce
woods.
took
We're
Wolfie's spot.
We're
on
in
the
the
island.
woods. We'll get out. It'll work out. Well, I got faith. Well,
Wolf,
I'm sorry.
we were
sorry
told
you guys
to do the
didn't.
research.
Sorry, you guys didn't like this very much. But
No, it's okay.
Hey, we got to cover it. That's what we do. We got to cover it. It's Bruce Dickinson.
Not all albums land as well as others.
Mhm.
You know, they can't all be winners. If there wasn't something that we
True.
didn't think was great individually or collectively, how would there be anything that we thought was amazing?
Hey guys, real quick before we get off, I just want to get to Earn for a second. If you've been following them on Instagram, I have. They are playing in front of some massive crowds, man. They are definitely gaining momentum. So guys, if you're listening, probably not, but you never know. Keep up the good work, man, because the three of us love you guys. You're killing it. You know,
well, they're opening for Avatar, which really helps, and Avatar has a pretty rabid following around the world, especially through Europe. So, getting that opening spot for them was a big deal.
Yeah,
and it looks like they're having a great time.
Awesome,
nice,
awesome.
Yeah. All right, boys, can't wait until we do it again. Thanks so much. If you're if you're still
show the pipes,
if you've suffered through all the hate, we appreciate it, and like and comment and subscribe.
You,
and
Bruce.
Bells, play with your bells.
You, Bruce. Do better.
Do better. All right, good stuff, fellas. We'll see you next time.